What's up everybody? Noah from Stage 3 Motorsports here, and today we're bringing you a video that's quite a bit different from anything we've brought you before, and that's because we're showing you a Toyota. So what we've got here is our newest project vehicle that we picked up, and this is a 2018 Toyota Tacoma. It's just kind of a bare bones SR model, which means that this thing really isn't dressed up. It's pretty close to just work truck spec. I know a lot of you guys are probably already wanting to pump the brakes and be like, whoa, 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 why are you doing Toyota? You guys are the Ford guys. We know, and don't worry, we're not leaving Ford. We still very much are committed to F-150, Super Duty, Ranger, all that good stuff, and that's not gonna change. We're still gonna be building a lot of those project vehicles as we continue on, but a lot of us also are into Toyotas, and there's a huge aftermarket for modifying and wheeling these trucks, so we figured it was about time that we dove in and kind of got our feet wet to see what the deal was. So we've basically spent the majority of today just out wheeling around on some different washes, trails, easy two-wheel drive stuff, some deeper sandier areas, things where we can kind of move it in and out of four-wheel drive and get a sense for how the truck articulates, how it feels in the dirt, and just generally how it drives. And then also definitely spending some time on the road and getting a sense for it as a daily driver or just a regular use kind of truck. And I think it's pretty obvious that our main comparisons can be drawn between this and the Ranger, because those are the two that we focus on, and we just recently finished building our Ranger and then are going to continue to kind of tweak and change it as we go along. But I can say right off the bat, I do like both mid-size trucks, and I think both really do have their strengths and weaknesses. The Tacoma, I would say off-road, feels a little bit more planted than the Ranger did. The Ranger was exceptionally soft from factory, just dolphin diving everywhere, really wallowy. It was like riding a Cadillac through the desert. This is a little bit more firm, feels a lot more truck-like off-road, but because of that, you do lose some of that on-road ride comfort, and it is a little stiffer, and especially when you hit really tight washboard stuff or rocky terrain where there's lots of jittering and just small shaking, it really kind of resonates through this truck, whereas the Ranger would soak that stuff up a little bit more at the expense of the bigger hits getting you a little bit harder. Another area that tends to differ with these trucks is obviously power plant is significantly different. The Ranger's running that 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine, whereas this has the 3.5 liter V6. And while I do like both motors, the 3.5 is a little bit more just rudimentary. It's very simple. These are pretty easy engines to work on, very reliable. And I think the power it gives off is a nice even band of power. So while it's not really overwhelming and the truck can feel a little bit sluggish, especially coming from something like the Ranger, it performs nicely, and as a daily driver, I definitely don't see any issue with it. Where we may run into some issues down the road is going to be once we add a lift and bigger tires and start to weigh this thing down. I know a lot of folks say from that point on, it really feels like you need to re-gear the truck because there isn't quite enough power there and it just doesn't play right with larger tires. So we'll see what happens when we get there. But as far as that's concerned, I do really like this power plant. I feel like the Ranger's maybe a little peppier in that regard. But as I said before, it really is just pros and cons, and they each have their own. Now, talking more specifically in terms of modifications in our plan for this truck, obviously I already mentioned that we were going to be looking into doing some wheels, tires, lift level, that sort of thing that we really carry through on pretty much every build. And so we're excited to dive into that. And with this being a Tacoma, obviously the overland scene is really hot, and we're probably going to kind of move that direction with this truck. But before we commit to a full-blown overland build, we're going to try and get a few pieces on here that are very user-friendly for pretty much anyone that wants a daily driver weekend warrior vehicle. Things that help with utility and ease of use day to day, and then obviously improving off-road capability outside of just an overland perspective, so to speak. But then as we move on, we can work our way into getting into tents, racks, all the bumpers, all the cool things that basically dress these trucks up and really make them the capable monsters that they are when you get them out in the dirt. It is worth mentioning too that this truck is proven to be very capable just right out of the box, and with it having almost 39,000 miles on it, it is still a used vehicle, but it feels tight. And this thing actually feels like it has almost no miles on it because the interior was well kept up, and even though it's pretty bare bones, everything's in good shape. The truck doesn't have any weird rattles or squeaks off-road. It really does feel tight, and overall the cab's quiet, everything's smooth, so we've been really happy with that. It is missing a few things in terms of the typical off-road goodies that we like in a vehicle, but we did that on purpose. So this is four-wheel drive, but it's bare bones four-wheel drive, so we don't have any sort of lockers or anything added into this from factory. There's really not a lot of skid plates or anything crazy like that, and it's just sitting on basic highway tires on like a premium alloy wheel that looks just okay. So that gives us a lot of room to work with what's essentially kind of a blank canvas and improve the off-road capability and the looks at the same time as we build through it. overall, we're really excited about this truck. We hope that you guys will stay tuned to check out this build as we start to push into it. And as I said before, if you're still just interested in the Ford stuff we're doing, we're still gonna have Ford builds coming right alongside this, so don't worry, those aren't disappearing. But we would love to hear your thoughts on the Tacoma or some mods that you think you'd like to see or find out more about. Have us do installs and reviews, things like that. So definitely leave a comment letting us know what you want to see in that regard. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.